All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's press conference. It's Florida Classic Week. Florida A&M's ranked number 12 in the stats poll, number 13 in the FCS coaches poll, and still ranked number 1 in black college football. Coach, it's Classic Week. Can you talk about your team's thought process going into this game and what you guys are planning to do this weekend?
Well, our thought process is to fight to finish, and that's been our motto all season. And these guys have really bought into that, and they've shown every week that they believe in it. And so now this is the finale, and so obviously when we talk about finishing, it's about what you do at the end. And so this is the last game of the season, of the regular season. Our guys know what's at stake. We understand the magnitude of this game, and we take the same approach. It's the biggest game of the year. It's the biggest game of our lives, the biggest game we've ever played in. Not necessarily because it's the Florida Classic or it's because of Bethune. It's a chance to end the losing streak, but it's because it's the next game that the good Lord allows us to play. And because of that, we're going to take the same approach. We're going to focus on the little things, do the things that it takes during the week to be prepared to play our best on Saturday. And once we do those things, we feel like we'll give ourselves the best chance to be successful. But very exciting time for this football team, for this program. Thankful for this opportunity and looking forward to working hard to finish this season the way that we want to.
Coach, is this kind of a week where you don't want them to press too hard? I mean, they have an 8-game win streak since 2010, since FAMU has won this game. Is it almost a case where wanting it too much you think might be a problem with these guys?
Well, we've talked about that, and again, we want to take the approach that our preparation doesn't change. We've had the mindset all year that our opponent doesn't dictate how hard we practice, how focused and locked in we are. You know, Bethune is the team we're playing on Saturday. The opponent is still the same. The opponent is always Florida A&M because we feel like we're the only team that can beat us. And so we want to make sure we do the things during the week to not beat us and give ourselves the best chance to be successful. So that's focusing on, again, what we have to do on a day-to-day basis. Again, our saying of being where our feet are. And again, our feet today are on Tuesday, which is our last full pad practice of the week, and really getting to know these guys, trying to take advantage of what they do offensively, defensively, and in the kicking game. And so if we keep that mindset, we'll prevent ourselves from having the emotional letdown that many teams face during rivalry week. So I think the build-up is more so for the fans. They're excited about this opportunity to go in the street. The pressure's on them with the trash talking that goes back and forth between Florida A&M alum and Bethune-Cookman alum. But our football team is going to take the same approach that we've taken during this 9-game winning streak, and I think that's why we've been able to perform at a high level every Saturday since the UCF loss.
Coach, these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. How do you keep them emotionally involved in this game, knowing that Bethune is on their 3-game losing streak? It's still a rivalry, but kids read press clippings, they still get caught up in emotion.
Well, I don't think our kids or our guys, they're young men, I don't think they read many press clippings. All season we've tried to stay off social media as much as possible unless we're promoting our program. We don't get into the back and forth banter with other players from other schools. We try to focus on what we can control. And so you won't need any motivation getting this team up for this week. They could come in here with an 0-10 record. It's still the Florida Classic. It's still FAMU versus Bethune. And so if you've ever been a part of a rivalry game, you know records mean nothing. You know what happens the week before means nothing. It's about which team comes ready to play on game day. That's going to have the best chance to be successful. And so we talked about that Sunday at the team meeting. Even for the freshmen, even for the transfers who just got here, we've all been in rivalry games before. We had them in high school. We've had them at junior colleges. We all know that one team every year that we say, regardless of what games we perform well in, we better win this one. And for us, it's always the Florida Classic against Bethune-Cookman. So we won't need any motivation. The fact that they've dropped their last 2 or 3 has no bearing on whether we'll be more focused or locked in than we normally would. We're going to be 100% locked in because this is our opportunity to finish what we started this season.
How important has the team's maturity and that business-like approach been to them being so successful this year?
It's been probably the most important facet of it or aspect of it. And that's attributed to the leadership that we have. When you have guys like Elijah Richardson, who spends the vast majority of his senior moment that we had last week when we allowed our seniors to talk to the team before the game, when he spent the majority of that time talking about accountability and what it means to be locked in and 100% bought into this, it shows that he's not going to allow us to have a letdown this week. When Ryan Stanley, who kind of tweaked his arm a little bit the other day in the game, but who came out Sunday and refused to be taken out of any part of practice, those guys will not let us have an emotional letdown. They're 100% locked in. Terry Jefferson, DeMontre Moore, these guys understand that this is the last time they're going to put on a Florida A&M uniform against Bethune-Cookman. And they know that they have a chance to leave their mark and their legacy on this program by what happens this Saturday. So I don't worry one bit about us having an emotional letdown, us not being focused or locked in because of those guys I just named, and other guys like Xavier Smith, like Marquise Bell, the guys who are really taking this team and leading them to the level of success that we've seen this season.
Coach, you kind of talked about it last week, this senior class. I mean, fifth-year guys like Ryan, I mean, they had one win that first year. I mean, how much do you think, obviously this season obviously is a kind of a capstone to their career here, but this game, I mean, how much have maybe they talked to you about how much this specific game kind of means to them, when in the past they haven't been able to do it yet?
We haven't, because I don't think it even has to be said. We understand that their legacy will be left on the field this coming Saturday. And for these guys, they have a chance to really, really put an asterisk or icing on the cake to what has become probably, at least in my short time here, and I'm pretty sure, Keith and guys that have been here can attest, probably the most amazing story of any senior class that's come through here in a very, very long time. I mean, to start 1-10 your first year and to now have a chance to finish 10-1. I don't know if there are any programs in the country that can boast that type of change over the course of a cohort's career. And so this will be, again, the icing on the cake for these guys. We don't talk about it much because, again, it's not about really building and hyping up this one game. They know what's at stake, and these guys are locked in and focused on finishing. That's where our mindset is. It's on finishing. Our motto is fight to finish. Well, finishing means the end. This is the end. So everything that we worked on, everything that we put into this thing since we came back in January, all comes to a head on Saturday at 3:30. And so that's what those guys' minds are, not necessarily on the mark they'll leave or their legacy. It's on finishing what we started way back when we reported as a 2019 football team.
Coach, you grew up in Quincy. You have family members who are FAMU grads. Your wife is a FAMU grad. So the Florida Classic is nothing new to you. But and now that you're entrenched as a coach, is a different perspective. But growing up, what did this game mean for you?
Well, it meant everything. My family are all Rattlers. So, I mean, this rivalry is just like, I mean, to me, you can put it up there with Florida and Florida State. You can put it up there with the Iron Bowl, with Clemson, South Carolina, with Notre Dame, USC. I mean, any major rivalry that you can think of, this one is right up there with it. And so it's bragging rights for a year. You have families that are split down the middle. You have Wildcats on one side of the house and Rattlers on the other side of the house. You have church members that are split down the middle. So all the elements of a rivalry, you have it. And so it means everything to me just because, again, I know my entire family are Rattlers, and I know that's the only pressure, which, again, I joke about it, but the only pressure for me is going to grandmother's house on the Sunday after the game because there are going to be a lot of things said one way or another. And so we want to make sure that they're said positively because we've gone down there and taken care of business.
Is the team approaching this like their national championship game?
We've really approached every game as that. The UCF game, of course, we knew that wasn't going to have much of a bearing on our overall quest to be Black College national champs. But start with the Fort Valley game. We had the mindset that we're in playoff mode. And for us to finish the season as the unquestioned, unanimous pick as the Black College national champs, we knew that we couldn't have a blunder along the way. Because, again, the Celebration Bowl is going to come down to the conference champions between the MEAC and the SWAC. And so we wanted to make sure that anyone watching that game, regardless of the outcome, will say, well, we've seen the best team in Black College football play all season, and it's the Florida A&M Rattlers. They hadn't lost a game. They've taken care of all the top teams in the rankings. Everyone except Alcorn State right now we've beaten. And Bethune-Cookman. Those are the two teams left. We won't play Alcorn, obviously. But when you look at it, A&T, South Carolina State, Southern, and then Bethune, if we can take care of those guys on Saturday, that's 4 of the top 6 teams in the rankings. And that's been our goal. So it's been mindset. It's been playoff mindset with the goal of winning the national championship looming, and understanding that we have to have that mindset and win out in order for that to be the unquestioned decision. Now, you take care of business. I don't think anybody can question whether we're the best team in black college football or not.
Coach, looking forward, recruiting-wise, does this help or hurt knowing that there's another year of probation coming along? Do the recruits think about those things, and how do you convince them to still come to FAMU based on a possibly 10-1 season?
Oh, well, the probation is not the biggest deal this year. It's the postseason ban. That's really what this team is really kind of looked at. But we're not worried about the probation because it doesn't affect our ability to recruit. It doesn't affect our ability to play postseason, to go out and build this program the way that we see fit. And so, no, that's not an issue for us. It's not a concern as far as recruiting goes. You still have a chance to come to the #1 public HBCU in America. You still have a chance to graduate from the university that produces more African American undergraduates than any school in America. And so you have a chance to come play for a nationally ranked program. The best team in black college football, one of the best teams in FCS football. And so, again, all those things are still there, regardless of whether you're on probation or not. Those facts still remain. And that's what we sell. We sell what we have. We don't spend too much time talking about what we don't have. We have a great product to sell here at Florida A&M. That's what we sell to prospective student athletes, to families, to coaches and communities. And that's why we've been able to attract really good football players here, because the FAMU name is still strong. Regardless of what we've gone through in the past or some of the issues that we're facing, it still hasn't tarnished the strength of the Florida A&M University brand as far as this university and this athletic program. So that's what our mindset is, and that's what we'll continue to sell moving forward as far as recruiting goes.
Kind of going along with that, I mean, even though this year's season ends on Saturday, just what does this season do for you guys moving forward, even though there is kind of no next step this year?
It just sets the foundation, and then it raises the bar. We talked about it briefly with our underclassmen. These seniors have accomplished something that hadn't been accomplished in a long time. They've become nationally ranked. They've won all their games at home. They've done some tremendous things. They beat all of our natural rivals up until this point. So the juniors, sophomores, freshmen, incoming guys, they have some big shoes to fill. But that's how you build a program. You want these guys returning to know what they're chasing. And they're chasing the success of this 2019 football team. And so the goal for us is to finish, obviously. And then at that point is, okay, now here's the standard. This is what we've come to expect here at Florida A&M, and we have no intentions of going backwards. It's all about moving forward. It's all about what we can do to be better. And I think that's what this season does more than anything else. It really puts us back where we feel like we should rightfully be, which is the premier football team at the HBCU level and one of the premier football team programs in all of FCS football. And so a testament to these seniors for getting us back to that point in a relatively short period of time. But as we know, the work is not done. We still have a lot of work to do, but at least they've set the foundation that gives us a good starting point.
What was the difference last season as opposed to this season? Last season, you had a chance to win the MEAC as well. Faltered towards the end, lost in the same game, the Classic. What was different last year than now? It seems like everything absolutely clicked. Is it them getting used to your system, being a second-year coach here, or just the overall maturation and getting used to the system?
Well, I think it's these seniors not allowing us to lose sight of what's important. We're focusing on the little things. Last year, I think once we reeled off 5 straight, once we reached #1 in the polls for the first time ever, you started to hear that word Celebration Bowl talked about a lot more, MEAC championship. You start hearing from the inside and the outside, fans talking about reservations for hotels, players talking about what they're going to do in Atlanta. And we start looking at the big picture, which that's not our philosophy. Our philosophy is to be where our feet are. Focus on the little things, and the little things will take care of the big things. Winning the conference championship is a big thing, obviously. Going to the Celebration Bowl, a big thing, obviously. Winning the Florida Classic, a big thing, obviously. But this team has been successful because we focused on the little things. What do I do today to be the very best I can be today? And if we stay on that, then the things down the line will take care of themselves. And that's what this team has done as opposed to last year's team. And the fact that we haven't been as injury prone this year. A lot of our key players are still playing and performing well, whereas last year, We went to the Florida Classic, with Chad Hunter being out, Bishop Bonner being out, Elijah Richardson, banged up. We had a lot of guys that were either not 100% or out of the game. And whereas this year, thankfully, we've been relatively healthy, and we're going to go into the game with a pretty loaded deck, and we feel like our playmakers will be ready to play. And you win games like that with playmakers, and our playmakers will be there Saturday. So feeling pretty good about our chances.
Well, offensively, you talked about earlier this season, you never wanted to have Ryan Stanley become the one-dimensional team. You didn't want him to be the guy and not have a running game. Statistically, the running game hasn't been what you would have liked. Offensively, your passing game is everything it should have been. Going against a Bethune team that gets after the quarterback, how do you remedy that?
Well, we've run the ball the last 2 weeks as well as we have all season, and so that's the encouraging thing. We've had our 2 best rushing outputs against Howard and Delaware State, and so we're kind of clicking in the run game at the right time. Ryan is taking more of an ownership to run the football, which has opened some things up for us as well. But Bishop Bonner's healthy. Terrell Jennings is really coming to his own. Devon Kendrick is really growing as a running back as well. So I think the running game is peaking at the right time, and we're going to need it, obviously, because last year's game it came down to Ryan had a great game statistically throwing the football. I think his highest yardage output was in the Florida Classic, but we didn't run the ball particularly well. And so against this team, you want to try to be balanced. You want to make sure you do the right things and not turn the ball over. And handing the ball off is the best way to not turn the ball over. So we're going to utilize all of our weapons. We have them outside. We have them in the backfield. We have them at quarterback. And now, of course, every week is a challenge for the offensive line to be the dominating force that they're capable of being when you have a guy like Marquise Ford, who's a big-time pass rusher, and, for those guys. So it'll be a great game, great challenge for our offensive line. I think this is the week they play their best. And if they do that, I really like our chances because we're so explosive everywhere else. If we can just consistently hold up front, I think we're very, very tough to defend.
So as far as the running game, this will be my last one. As far as your running game, you said it's clicked over the past 2 games. Looking back at what Bethune has been doing against the run, they've kind of fallen a little bit throughout the season. They don't stop the run very well. Last week, over 300 yards on the nose, giving up the running game. Do your team look at that and this is what you're going to do? You're going to try to force the run regardless?
No, we don't force the run. I call the game as just like I want Ryan to play the game. I try to take what the defense gives us. It's a read option offense, so every play for us has multiple options as far as what the defense is giving us. If they're giving us a light box, we're going to run the football. If they're low in the box, we're going to throw the football. And so for us, when we do hand it off, it's about getting a hat on the hat. If our offensive lineman can block the 5 guys that they're responsible for blocking, don't have missed assignments, if our running backs can be patient, press the line of scrimmage and trust their eyes and square the shoulders up and protect the football, and then our receivers and tight ends block on the perimeter, we'll have a successful day running the football. That's what we were able to do last week. That's what we were able to do the week before. And so we can keep that formula, then the running game picks up. Throwing the football, we feel pretty good that we can throw the football against these guys. But, again, I think if you can run it as well and you have a 2-dimensional approach, then that makes it very, very, very tough to defend. So that's our goal this week. Find a way to run the football consistently like we've done the last few weeks, and then continue to throw the ball efficiently and let Xavier Smith do what Xavier Smith does best. And Marcus Williams was a player of the game last year against these guys, so I know he's looking forward to having another big game. He's in their race playing extremely well, and we have a plethora of receivers out there who can make plays, and I think we'll get David Manigo back this week as well. So looking forward to the game, and hopefully these guys will be ready to play, show up, and we can go to Orlando, and next time we come out of Orlando, feel a lot better than we did the first time we came out.
All right.